tonight, I believe, with Kelsey Cook. So that's going to be a really great show. If you're in the D.C. area, make sure that you check it out. We're also going to have Mike Cannon coming in later today. I should probably address comments made on yesterday's afternoon show by Greg Opie Hughes. Look, first of all, so here's what happened yesterday on Opie's show. Rich Davis was in, and he asked Opie about me. Like, so where does this leave you and Sam? Because Opie is not happy about his move to afternoons, and he's made that pretty public. And Rich goes, so where does that leave you and Sam? You know, being Sam's mentor and all. And I like Rich a lot, and I thought it was a great radio question. Like, I'm like, that's something that, yes, ask that question. As a radio person, he texted me and he was like, I wasn't trying to stir shit. I'm like, dude,
it should be addressed.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm glad you asked that question. And I did want to address what Opie said. And I reached out to him, by the way. A lot of people are like, there's so much of this bullshit high school drama going on that I did as soon as his show was over. I reached out to him. I texted him. He did text me back finally right before the show started today. And we sent a couple texts, but, he's not happy with me, and that's fine. It is what it is. But he said a couple things. So I said on this show that Opie and I had fallen out of touch. We hadn't spoken in months. Really. Like, not like in a hostile way. It hadn't happened anymore, and that it is what it is. And honestly, I was concentrating on doing my show at nights anyway, so it wasn't that huge of a thing. And he said yesterday that the reason that we had been out of communication is because he had heard I was talking shit about him, that I was talking shit behind his back. And it's like I know Opie, it has been historically documented that he has had a problem with the people that he keeps around him. Opie has a lot of worms around him, and you could say, well, Sam, he kept you around him for a while, and sure, fine. But Opie has a lot of people in his ears that lie to him a lot. And maybe it's just the position he's in. I don't know. I know. Like, I know who are some of the people that would have told him that I was talking shit. I've known the whole time. I knew that was going on. I assumed that Opie would be smart enough to know that it wasn't the case, that it wasn't happening, that who am I going to go and talk shit about Opie to? Right? Like, you have to understand, the last year and a half, I've been concentrating on my night show to the point where I'm not sharing the office with these guys anymore. I'm coming in for the night shift. I talked to 4 people on this planet. I talked to Jess. I talked to my dad. I talked to Kevin Undergaro and Troy. That's who I talked to. Adrian, I talk to you when we're here, but how often do we talk when we're not here?
Not much.
Not much. Even Kathy. Kathy and I hang out, but we're both busy. We don't talk all that much off the air, right?
Yeah.
We hang out, but I would not, But but those are the people that I talk to on a regular basis. And when we talk, we're not sitting there gossiping and talking shit about people. It's a very interesting thing. And by the way, like, for the people who I'm sure are listening now that were telling Opie that I was talking shit about him, of course I know that you're listening now. I know who you are, and I've known the whole time, and I've been smiling to you, and I will keep smiling to you. And I want you to know that I know, but you're never going to know for sure that I know it's you, but I do know it's you. But just like have that inside you. Like, if you want, you could ask me if I know it's you, but I know it's you. So just like keep that like in your soul, that I'll keep interacting with you, but I'll know it's you, and there'll always be that there. That's right. I'm Puff Daddy in the Jonah Hill movie right now. I've been mind-fucking you this whole time. And I will continue to mind-fuck you because I know what goes on. That's why I stay out of it. It's an amazing thing. I have a reputation with some people as being a little conniver, a little politician, a little shit stirrer. But what's incredible is the only people that have that perception of me are the people who don't know me and don't work with me. It's either listeners who might like me or not like me. They might like that I do that stuff. It's people who work in the vicinity of me but don't actually work with me. Anybody that's actually spent time with me, anybody that's actually worked with me, enjoys working with me. They don't find me to be a shit-stirring, conniving politician guy. Like, I stirred shit for a long time on the air for Opie and Anthony. Like, there was no going behind the scenes and trying to get people in trouble IRL, in real life. There was shit stirring so we could bring it up on the air and have a good time. Because I did that better than anybody else, and it was an element that could be added to the show. And I found it fun. But at no point in my life, and anybody that's actually worked with me, or anybody that's the 4 people that I talk to consistently on a daily basis, any of them would tell you, and by the way, Opie would tell you the same thing before he wasn't talking to me because people gave him misinformation, that I'm not going around politicking and shit stirring. And the reason I'm not doing that is because I'm too worried about me. I focus on what I'm doing.
Do you think that's the real reason why he stopped talking to you?
I believe it. I don't have any reason not to believe it. And look, when you surround yourself with people that are telling you something over and over and over again, and you start to believe it, I don't blame anybody. But it's like, we knew each other for 10 years, and if my loyalty, or whatever the word is, I don't even know if it's loyalty, my loyalty, friendship, whatever it was, wouldn't have been questioned over those 10 years. And if it was, you would have asked me about it and blah, 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 then I don't understand why now, because I'm working nights, because, by the way, I was told to work nights, but now that I'm working nights and we don't see there is that separation, why you would allow other people to just tell you things and that was it. So, and it's well documented. Every time Opie's name came up in a public way, and by the way, like, Opie has publicly complained about the fact that a lot of people are nice to him behind the scenes and do not stick up for him in a public way. A lot of people will text him nice things. A lot of people will say nice things to him, but when it comes time to be public, they don't say anything about him. And you can go back, and it's been well documented, that I heard that and realized it was not enough to support him privately, and made sure that multiple times throughout the year and throughout this whole weird transition that I've been supportive of him. Number one, mentioning the fact that he's the one that put me in this position, mentioning the fact that he's been my mentor and always will be in that position. And number three, that I think he's the people that I spend the most time with are people who I have some level of admiration for. They are the people that I think I can learn from. They are the people who I have respect for, right? I don't spend time with people who are learning. I mean, if people want to learn from me, I will teach them. But that's not where I'm going to spend the majority of my time. I don't boost my ego that way. I don't spend time with yes men. I don't do any of that. I spend time with people who are above me on the totem pole and who are higher than me on the food chain, because I want to learn from them. I would not have spent the time that I spent with Opie if I didn't feel that that's the category that Opie was in. And by the way, I still feel that that's the category that Opie was in. And I've listened to the shows that he's done this week, and he's doing a great job. And at no point did I think he wouldn't. It's almost condescending to point out that he's doing a great job, because you don't stay here for 20 years if you don't do a great, 20 plus years, 30 years, whatever it is, if you don't do a great job. But I've never said anything besides that. So to say, and as far as making this move without reaching out to him, I did, when I reached out to him, I apologized, and I should have reached out to him in advance of moving here. But the fact of the matter is, as far as the negotiation of where this show was going to go, I was way outside the loop. And anybody who's in that inner circle that I was talking to about what was going on knows that I was sitting there until the last minute going, I don't know what's going to happen. They're figuring out Jim and Opie. That's what it was. I was on the side. They were figuring out Jim and Opie because guess what? Jim and Opie are the headliners here. Opie and Jim are the headliners here, however you want to phrase it. Those are the headliners. Those are the deals that had to get worked out. And I was waiting to get told where it was that Jim and I were going to go. The fact of the matter is, 2 weeks before the show started, a week, whatever it was, the plan was for Jim and I to be on from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. For some reason, that changed, and they said, okay, Sam, you're going to be on at 8 a.m. I said, okay, fine. Because guess what? I'll go where you put me because I'm here to do a job. And I'm going to make the most of it wherever you put me. When I was told that I was getting moved from noon to 9 p.m. to midnight, the graveyard shift, I'm the only one who didn't complain about it. I'm the one who went to 9 p.m. and said, this is great. I'm going to make the most of it. And so I started highlighting all the positives of that move and then made it into something. I would have done the same thing at 10 a.m. I would have done the same thing in afternoons. I would have done the same thing at 6 p.m. I would have done the same thing if you would put Jim and me at 9 p.m. Whatever. I'm not in a position where I would politic for it. And when it came to me, the company came to me and said, Sam, Jim and Opie are separating. I said, yeah, that's news. That's no big news to anybody. Everybody knows that they're separating. Jim has said it on the air. Opie said he's ready for it. That's fine. The company said, Sam, we want you to do a show with Jim. That's what we want. And Jim wants that too. And I said, okay, well, that sounds great. You know, I like Jim. Yeah, and I made sure, I said, this isn't a position where I'm going to come in and be a producer, correct? This is a position where Jim and I will be equal co-hosts, correct? And they said yes. And then I sat down with Jim and said, Jim, this is a position where you and I will be equals, and you're okay with that, right? Because if you're not, I'm cool with us doing solo shows. But if we're doing it together, I think we could do something fun. And he said, yes, that's what I want to do. And I said, great, then we'll do it. At no point did I think to myself, oh, this is a betrayal to Opie, because there was never any discussion of Opie and I doing a show together. Number one, we fill the same role. As I just said, I learned what I know primarily from Opie. And you don't need two guys doing what I do or doing what Opie does on a show. Like you need comic relief. And you know what? I can do a great Eddie Hugh impression, but I'm not Jim Norton. I'm not a comedian. Beyond that, at no point did I think that was wanted, because I never was I was only a guest on Opie's show once. You know, I thought Opie wanted his regular guys, his Chris DiStefano's, his Vic Henley's, his charades, and I was cool with that. I said, cool, that sounds good to me. So it seemed to me like this is what made sense, and there was very little hostility on my end, although I said, you know, Opie may be upset, but this is the business. This is what we do. In terms of me leaving my brand behind, in terms of me leaving behind Sam Roberts' show, I did that with a heavy heart, and I didn't want to. But guess what? If you think that I'm like, I built this brand and I could have kept building it, ask Voss, Sherrod, and E-Rock how their brands are doing on the channel. Because do I have a guarantee that Sam Roberts' show stays on the air when the channel gets redesigned? No. What am I going to go in there and say, hey, I have a non-existent contract that said, no, no. So I go, okay, we need to do what's right for me, for the whole team. That's why I brought the whole team with me and said, okay, we need to move this thing forward, because that's what we do, is we move forward. That's the whole point of this, and I think anybody in this or any industry would agree with that. And the final point about me taking shortcuts, that has to be one of the more absurd things I've ever heard. I mean, the reason that I'm here in this position is because I've worked non-stop to get here. And by the way, I'm not done. Every day, I'm still just fighting for survival. I'm just doing everything I can possibly do to make this or whatever I'm doing work as successfully as I can. There's nothing, that's the only way I function. Every year. I've been employed by Sirius for 10 years. That's not mentioning the year that I worked for free or the amount of time I was an intern or whatever it was. I don't know. I was 21 when I made my first appearance as an intern. I'm 33 now. That's how long I've been here. I don't see how that could possibly be construed as a shortcut. And by the way, every year that I've been employed, I've eaten vacation days because I don't take them. The last time I was on vacation was 3.5 years ago because I had to go on a honeymoon or my wife would have had our marriage annulled. That was the last time I was on vacation. Beyond that, I haven't seen my wife in a year during the week. A year plus 14, 15 months, however long Sam Roberts show has been on. I hadn't seen Jess on a weekday in all that time. Go through the show. I asked Adrian last week, did we ever take an actual vacation? No. We never took a week off. The most time we took off was 2 or 3 days, and that was it. We worked Christmas and New Year's week because there was opportunities to be taken.
You worked New Year's Eve.
Yeah, we went to L.A. and we were like, we're in L.A. Let's do a New Year's show. 3 days was the most days we took off, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I know. I've never taken a shortcut in my life. And by the way, any opportunity that I've ever had has had nothing to do with office politics and has had nothing. I've never stabbed anybody in the back. Never. I just haven't. I've never stolen an opportunity from anybody. And I know that I've been politicked against, not by Opie. I'm not making that accusation. But I know that I've been politicked against by people. And I just haven't done it. I've never done it. Never. And I wouldn't. Because I'm concentrating on me. Because to me, the way somebody succeeds in doing something that is not quite a traditional path is they work as hard as a person can work and they focus on what they're doing. And that is my sole philosophy as far as this stuff goes. And I think anybody who's listened to anything I've done for any amount of time realizes that. I was not talking about Opie behind the scenes because I was talking about me behind the scenes. I was talking about my show. I was trying to figure out how to make 9 to midnight every day for 3 hours work. They said, okay, Sam, it's you and Adrian. Here's 3 hours. It's the middle of the night. See you later. That's a lot of work. And guess what? Listen to the shows by the end and tell me how much work was put into it. You think there's time to shit talk anybody for no reason while I have that much going on? It's not happening. So yeah, and if I had taken a shortcut, I don't see how I've lost more gigs than I've gotten. I've gotten served more shit sandwiches than I've gotten prizes. But guess what? I actually eat the shit sandwiches. I don't just sit there and go like, I don't want this shit sandwich. I eat it, and it's fucking gross. But I eat the sandwiches. And you know what I do after I eat the sandwiches? I shit them out, and I move forward. And that's what makes this all possible. That's why I've been able to do what I've been able to do. And all I'm going to do, I don't know what comes after this. I don't know. Maybe this show collapses and doesn't work and I've made a horrible mistake. Sure. But guess what? That's not the mindset I'm in. All I'm doing is sitting here going, how do Jim and I make this morning show work? As far as I can see, I have faith in myself, and I have now been offered the funniest person on satellite radio, if not in radio, probably in all of radio. I can't think of anybody funnier. With Jim Norton, he's been offered to me as a co-host with billing, with top billing. I go, yeah, it seems to me you've got all the elements to make something work here. And when you get offered something like that, this is what we want to do, you don't turn it down. That's like, okay, when I got offered executive producer of Opie and Anthony, am I going to turn that down? Am I going to be like, well, you know, I really like doing the after show, and that's what I want to concentrate on? No, I go like this. Look, the after show is important to me. I don't want it to be perceived that as an executive producer, my interest. This is what I said to everybody, that my interests are swayed one way or the other. I need you guys to know that my aspirations are to be on the air. I said this to people in charge. I said this to Opie. Everybody goes, okay. I go, okay. And you make both work. But that's what you do. You say you accept, and then you make it work. You don't say, no, I think I'm just going to stay from 9 to midnight, and hopefully you guys don't cancel the show, because you could. Because either way, there's going to be 2 shows on the channel that both need replays. That's the problem right now. There's 2 high-profile shows on this channel. Both of those shows need equal replays. Okay, so what are you left with? You know, what and why? They're like, here's what we're going to do. You know the thing you've been building? We're going to give you a chance to grow it and extend it. And it's going to be a scary move, but it's going to be a good move for you. Why am I going to be like, no, you know, I'd rather stay in this comfortable zone? You know? I mean, you move forward. You move forward. And I'm not some fucking 26-year-old that backstabbed somebody and lucked into a morning show. Have you looked at fucking pictures of me? Look at a picture of me. Look at a picture of me and then look at a picture of me when I first started. Okay? Do I look 33? I've aged 30 years since I've been here. I look fucking terrible in photos. I don't look like a human being anymore. You know why? Work, sleep deprivation, stress, all that stuff. Nobody who takes shortcuts looks like me. You know, take shortcuts? Beautiful people. Because they can. Because they're beautiful, and because they're allowed to stay beautiful, because they took enough shortcuts that they're doing okay. Not me. I didn't take a shortcut, and now my forehead is 3 times as big as it used to be. I'm skinny fat. I'm malnourished. I'm paler than ever. I look like an albino Ethiopian somehow. I know. And that's because I don't take shortcuts, okay? It wasn't a shortcut when I fucking drove Opie's luggage to Atlantic City because he left it in his apartment, and I was just like, of course I'll do that. Hey, could you pick up my luggage and drive it all the way to Atlantic City? Yeah, sure. And by the way, Opie was great about that. And he's like, okay, thank you for doing that. I'll get you a hotel. Do you think I would have done it? Honestly. Do you think I would have done it if I knew that there was no hotel and I just had to drive straight back? Of course I would have done it. Everybody here knows I would have done it. Because guess what? I was mocked the entire process of doing this by the people who worked with me. Travis knows. Travis was there the whole time, and he knows, I'm not saying you were doing, but Travis knows that as I was coming up, I was being made fun of for not getting paid right, for working too much, for coming in on my off hours, for not taking vacation days.
Of course I know you were being made fun of. I was the one doing it.
Exactly. Exactly.
I hate to be the one that sticks up for you. But seriously, I don't know anyone here that works harder than you.
I appreciate that.
Oh, now someone's calling me.
I appreciate that. The TEF line is ringing. Yeah. The TEF line is ringing! So, yeah. And look, part of doing this show, I was literally having a conversation with my wife yesterday. She said, it's so cool that you get to do the morning show. I was like, I don't get to do the morning show. The cost of doing the morning show was, number 1, taking a risk, and number 2, my mentor hates my guts. I said, that's the cost of doing this. And I said, I feel that. Like, that's, but what choice do you have? It's bound to happen. And, you know, if you could say, well, if you had reached out earlier, maybe it wouldn't have. Maybe. But when the boss is down the hall or saying we're negotiating with these guys, I'm going to stay out of it. And when they say, hey, look, stay out of that stuff. Little advice, stay out of it. I go, all right, then I will. I'm just going to keep to myself and just see what happens. And that's what I did. So that's where I stand on the thing. Anybody, and again, anybody that thinks that there were shortcuts taken or politicking or backstabbing, like, I don't know what kind of fucking pull you think I have. I don't have the pull. I don't have any of it. You know what I do? Bosses call me into their office. I agree with them. That's the type of pull that I have. Yes, good idea. Yes, whatever you say. Yep, yes. That's the pull that I have right now. There's no going in there being, this is what we should do. Here's what I'm thinking. We need to move, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't know any of that. I don't have that kind of power. Everybody thinks I'm some kind of supervillain. I may have a genius level intelligence, but I haven't
Well, you got
established.
Jim fired.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And I never wanted Jim fired either. I'm gonna only take a couple phone calls, and then I want to move on. Let's go to Marshall in Texas. What's up, buddy?
Sammy.
Yeah.
Holy shit. First of all, congratulations on the morning job.
Thank you. And that's the other thing. Like it's now become weird to accept congratulations on this gig, because it's like any congratulations is like, well, fuck you to the other guy, and it's like it's not supposed to be that way. Like, why
Right.
does it? Why it shouldn't? And maybe that's my fault. Whatever. But it
No,
shouldn't.
no.
It shouldn't have to have a caveat that like you're like,
Sam.
well, but you know.
When you started that after show, the O&A show was going through kind of like doldrums. You know, they were, something was up. We didn't know at the time. And then the after show would come on, and DJ Who Kid would come in, and Nicole would come in, and you'd have the big interviews too. You'd have like Oliver Stone in, and it was great. It was like I didn't think management would make the right decision ever, so I was never hopeful about it. So I thought, well, this is a cool show while it lasts.
Mm-hmm.
But they kept giving you jobs. Thank Jesus. They kept giving you jobs.
Yeah, I don't know how. Most of the people here at Sirius are perplexed by that, but I just like, okay, yeah, all right, and that's what it was. Just keep my fucking head down and keep working and keep doing shows. And sometimes like the shit stirring stuff is stuff I was doing on the air.
For the show.
For the show, because it's funny. And yes, people took it personally, and I never cared if people took it personally, and I never cared if people hated me because of stuff I did on the air, because it always made for a better show.
Well, right. And you were the backbone of a lot of those types of bits. And the other thing I just want to say, this is the main reason I actually called. You know, Opie is his own worst enemy with this shit, and no therapy seems to work. Like, he always thinks everyone's out to get him. And he's done this since 2005. I've been listening the whole time. He has a knee-jerk reaction and always thinks everyone's out to get him. And it's kind of a Greek tragedy. It's kind of the reason he is where he is today. Like, dude.
I don't know. And by the way, I appreciate that. Thank you, Marshall. And he's not in a bad spot today. Trust me, he's going to do well in afternoons. Trust me when I tell you that. I would just hope that you can know, Opie, with some confidence, I am not out to get you. And I won't be. I'm not. I understand. You've had a lot of guys that have been out to get you. I've told you for 10 years it's not going to be me. JT in Georgia, you're on Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Sammy, good to talk to you this morning, brother. Hey, I noticed in your the videos, and you've always had your nose to the grindstone, always had a tremendous work ethic. And I believe management sees you as the future, and taking the mentorship from Opie, which you can never take that away from him.
No.
That they see in you a potential because of your work ethic and your ability to take control of the situation and oversee a room, kind of like what Opie does. And they see that potential in you, and because of your work ethic, I think you're going to do very great. Even though I disagree with all your political views, I think you're a stupid idiot sometimes. I can't deny the fact that every time I listen or I watch in the background of the video, you're doing something. You're always there. I couldn't believe you're still married, to be honest with you.
Yeah, dude.
I thought you'd be divorced already. But anyway, have a great day.
Thank you, buddy. I don't know how she's hung in. She's hung in. But I'll tell you why Jess is hung in. Because this isn't new. Because from day one, it was, no. We're balls to the wall. We're fully committing to this thing. Like there was no kidding from the beginning, from dating. I met Jess when I was an intern. And it was like, from that time, it was like, no, this is like, if we commit ourselves to this, it will pay off. Trust me. And because I could say that without flinching, she believed it. I don't know why. I don't know why. She just hung in and hung in and hung in. Let's go to Dave in Chicago. What's up, Dave?
Hey, good morning, Sam.
Good morning,
Hey,
buddy.
I've always been such a fan of the entire channel, and I think like you said, Opie's going to do great in afternoons. He sounds great. He sounds fresh. But have things just been behind the scenes just worse than we could even imagine?
I mean, I
what you
get
guys
it.
are having on air.
The behind the scenes of everything around here is very, very negative, and I've been trying very hard to combat that. I mean, when I tell you that I have sat down, at least with what I can control, I have browbeaten both Derek and Adrian into shifting perspectives, because that's what's going on. There's negativity, and there's shittiness, and there's gossip that goes on constantly behind the scenes. And
So-
I when I recognized that it was happening, and it took me many years, by the way, and I was very close to it, which is why I was able to recognize it, because I was inundated by it, right? Because I was in there. I wasn't I wasn't at the top of the totem pole. I was in the heap of garbage. I was just a piece of garbage like everybody else. But when I realized that was happening, I said, okay, I need to, literally everything that's said to me, I need to take it with a grain of salt, put it in a column, and maybe fact check before I react. And that's tough to do when you got people that are hammering you with it. So
I think as just a true fan of both shows, dude. I think you and Jim sound great. I think
Thank
Jim
you.
has a lot of animosity that I think it's obvious when you guys are on air. And Opie does the same way. But as far as you were going, Sam, like you've always been the loyal soldier. You and E-Rock both.
yeah, I don't have animosity towards
where
Opie.
this came from yesterday. You know what I mean? Like I know you don't.
I don't.
But it just seems like, man, it just seemed toxic. But good for you to kind of be able to get through it, man.
And by the way, like I appreciate that. And are there moments of frustration where I go like, oh, fuck that guy, like Bob? Of course, there's moments of frustrations with anybody. It's your mentor and the guy that you're working for. And even though, he's not the boss, he's your mentor and the guy that you're working for. It's Opie Radio. So, are there moments when anybody that any of you have ever worked with in a mentor capacity where you're like, oh, just fuck him. He's just what? Of course that happens. But there's a big difference between doing that and going like, oh, he's a fucking asshole. You know what I heard? You know what we should do? I'm going to take a spot. Huge difference. And whether things were misconstrued or just lied about, I think probably both. That's what's going on here. And, because it was said in public yesterday, and I was tweeted about it quite a bit, I thought it important to address once and for all. And by the way, my goal here, you have to address this stuff because it's dishonest not to. All I want to do is do a show, though. I hope to God that we can just start doing a show next week where we're not bickering. Like, it's two shows on the same channel. We're literally not in competition. If one show succeeds, it's good for the other one and vice versa. I hope to God, please, baby Jesus God, next week, allow us the grace and the teft to just do a show. Allow us that teft, baby Jesus. Thank you. Let's go to Bob in. Oh no, sorry, I hit the wrong thing. Let's go to Bob in Jersey. What's up, Bob?
Scissors up, down.
All right, so I'm doing shows with Eastside Dave at fucking midnight. I'm doing Than and Sam. Remember when we did Than and Sam from midnight to 3 a.m.? Yes, I
was catching it.
Catch it.
Yeah. For God's
That's
sake.
amazing.
There was, for any of the long-term listeners, to see you come in during the weekend virus or whatever stupid name it had, you were the hardest working guy 10 years ago, let alone making a 9 to midnight show work with stupid hot dog. I mean, you made anything you were handed work.
Thank you, man.
And that's the true essence of Sam Roberts. You even did wrestling commentary, for God's sakes.
I do it all. Thank you very much, buddy.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Justin in Atlanta, welcome to Jim Norton and Sam Roberts.
Young Samuel Roberts, how are you, my twinkish friend?
I'm good, buddy.
So, yeah, just hearing all this play out, I always think of, like, the Sopranos and those kind of mob movies where you have somebody who's, like, you have those guys who are, like, the company guys, and they'll do whatever. They'll be the bag man, they'll go kill somebody, but they don't want the power. They just want to keep their head down, do their work, live the life because that's what they like. That's what they do. But you also have those people who kind of just the really wormy guys who want to make those power plays, and they got to like kind of step all over those guys.
And by the way, I don't have a problem with being perceived as a wormy guy because it's how I've portrayed myself. I'm not mad at people who are like, oh, Sam's a worm, because I've portrayed myself as a worm for years on the air.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying you're a wormy guy. I think it's actually, I've always known that's like a character. Like you always.
When it starts to enter into real life, it's like, dude, like that doesn't go on behind the scenes. Like I'm the only guy who's not worming around behind the scenes. I'm the only guy that's actually honest behind the scenes. Yeah,
I mean that's what I'm saying. Like you're the guy, like you're the workhorse. You're doing what they tell you, and doing everything that's required of you. But those wormy guys that make you out to be the wormy guy, and that's like you're the guy who gets like the bullet in the back of his head because they're like some other guy's trying to make a power play or some crap like that.
Yes. Thank you, Justin. Yeah. I'll talk to you later, pal. Let's go to Mike in South Carolina. What's up, Mike?
Yo, man. Arthur Fonzarelli just wishing the crew a happy Teftamundo.
That's what's important here. Happy Teftamundo, everybody. Happy Teftamundo.
I'm out to Pinky Testarello.
Thank you, Mike. That's what's important. And a happy Teftamundo to all of you out there. We have a lot to do today. Mike Cannon is coming in. I want to talk to him about his honeymoon because, Mike Cannon, he's an interesting guy. He's a comic who I've had on many incarnations of my show, and I just love him. But, like, he's a comic like anybody else, like, cynical, whatever. But at the same time, he also was doing a podcast for a while called Deep in the Rabbit Hole. So there's a conspiracy theory element to him. And he loves mushrooms and shit like that. Like he loves expanding his mind. And I saw pictures. He just got married. And he just went on his honeymoon. And it looked like it was at some like Tibetan retreat or something like that. I don't exactly know what was going on. But we're going to talk to Mike Cannon. Kathy Kelly is going to be here. Stick around, because Jim Norton and Sam Roberts will be right back.